Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of my podcast, Candid. I am here with my friend, Miss Janel. This is my girl, y'all. Me and Janel have been friends since,
long time.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
What, since 2012?
Yeah.
It's for the last 8 years. We actually met at Eastmore, and we did theater together. That's how we met. Do we have any classes still? Miss Green. Do we have Miss Green together?
Maybe.
I don't know. Miss Green used to always kick me out, so I don't remember.
We had to take movies together.
Did you have
I haven't got one.
I did too, but in the morning or afternoon though?
Afternoon.
Okay, then we was here, so we had classes together. And Janelle's just been my friend. Like, it's so crazy because we have so many different like connections, and I just feel like even if we didn't go to Eastmore together, somehow, some way we would have crossed paths.
Yeah.
Like our moms know each other. Like we would have met.
We was in the same like elementary, preschool.
Oh
class,
we definitely were in the same like preschool class before Liberty. What's it called? Patriots?
Yeah,
Patriots Academy now.
Prep
or something like that. Something weird. We went to Liberty Christian, and we were in the same preschool class, which I did not know. Janelle was cute, y'all. I'm definitely please. I'm definitely putting Janelle's picture in here. Just
the class picture.
Okay, I'll think about it. Janelle likes nasty Patron. So
Tequila was the best way to go.
I got her this bottle, and I'm nervous, y'all, because the last time I seen a bottle like this, it was my 21st birthday, and
okay, but everybody has an intense time on their 21st birthday, so
I was laid out. It was a whole event going on, and I was laid out.
At least you remember yours.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we not gonna go there. But this is a nice bottle.
It is.
This is cute.
High quality stuff.
It's fancy, y'all. I'm not really a light liquor drinker kind of person.
You like Douce?
I do like Douce. Because I feel like it's a softer version of Henny.
All cognac is nasty. All cognac is disgusting.
Well,
every form of it. It doesn't matter the brand.
But I don't
really. It doesn't matter the bottle.
All right.
It doesn't matter the artist.
The artist.
It's nasty.
I'm not really a drinker though. So like I really don't like to drink at all. So I guess I'm not really.
You prefer like a mixed drink? Like at the bar?
It's so bad because I do be mixing. It's so bad.
Not like a mixed like shot, like at the bar. Tequila Sunrise, Pixie Stick.
Oh no, I don't know any of that. I don't know any of those things.
Sex on the Beach.
I've had that, and I like it. Yeah. But
you're not supposed to sniff tequila.
Oh, sorry. God, this is nasty.
I mean, this will make it taste like juice.
Oh, we do have
pineapple mango.
We got pineapple mango. I didn't know. I completely forgot that she had this. So I'm so glad that we had this juice. How much do I pour?
I mean, it's up to you. That's a lot if you don't like tequila.
But I'm mixing it, right?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
You're pouring more.
Okay, sorry. So, Janelle and I are actually, you want to order?
Yeah.
Oh, Janelle's gross.
Okay, that's right.
That's good?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Janelle and I are actually going to be talking about PWIs. So, Janelle, tell the people what school you went to, what you just got your degree from.
Yes. So I am a recent graduate of the University of Kentucky, where I got my BBA in marketing.
Yes, so, BBA.
Yeah, I went there all 4 years. Freshman year to senior year. Made a lot of lifetime memories.
That's beautiful. Must be nice.
I had a great time, you know.
That's beautiful.
The best and the worst days of our lives.
Oh, you know. Well, for those who may not know, I go to Ohio State. I actually transferred to Ohio State.
Oh, this is great.
In 2018. That spring, I went to Clark Atlanta University my freshman year. I came home and went to Columbus State in 2017 that fall, and then transferred to Ohio State. Mm. It's okay, y'all. The drink is okay. See? It's not bad. It's actually pretty good. That's the problem, though.
We'll be on the floor.
Okay. I'm ready. So how did we end up at PWIs, bro? How did you end up at PWI?
Well, first, I didn't really have that much information about HBCUs. My dad went to PWI, my mom went to PWI, and my sister went to PWI. When I was applying to schools my senior year, because I was in biomed, I'd always been in medical stuff. I wanted to be a nurse, so I was looking at basically the highest ranked nursing programs in UK. It was like top 5 or something like that. So that's part of the reason I applied to them. But additionally, I went to apply to. As far as HBCUs, I want to say Hampton and Howard were the 2 that I was looking at, and I couldn't afford the application fees. It was like $90.
What was it? Have what fees?
The application fees.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like $90 or something like that, and I didn't have it. That's just really I did not have it, and I had already paid I want to say any other school that I had paid for, because most of them I had was free. I want to say
right,
I had like 5 of them free. Yeah, so all the other ones I paid for was maximum like $25, like $35. I didn't have 90.
I think it's crazy that you gotta pay an application fee to apply to a university anyway. Like,
right, you're not even guaranteed to get in.
Like what kind of mess is that? Like, no, you're right. Like, money back for like what?
Yeah. So, I actually wanted to go to Pitt. Pitt was my #1 school. I toured the campus when I was a junior, and I was in love with it. But I didn't get in to a second campus, and I didn't want to go or have to transfer anywhere. So, UK was my second choice. And when I went, I literally fell in love with the campus just because it is really beautiful. It's a lot of greenery. It's a big campus. Everybody considers it a big school, but we've seen Ohio State, so it's not big.
Right.
But at the same time, it's very close together. There are lots of organizations and stuff like that. It was the perfect distance from home. But at the same time, I still had people there to look out for me. It was just it had everything I wanted in it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel that. I did not want to go to a PWI, but it's kind of crazy because all the way up until I went to high school, I wanted maybe even all the way up until sophomore or freshman year. I can't really remember when I was I need to go to an HBCU, but when I was in the 8th grade, I found this not when I was in 8th grade, but I found this letter that I wrote to myself in the 8th grade, and I was like, hopefully you're about to go to Ohio State, blah blah blah, this, that, the third. And so younger me, I believe Ohio State was my first choice, and then Howard was my second choice. So I kind of always knew a little about HBCUs, but I wanted to go to Ohio State just because both of my parents went to Ohio State, so
and it's a great school.
And I mean, ultimately, it's a great school, but I feel
when you grow up here, it's
I think what it is it's a great school before you get there. And then when
I feel
you get there,
also if you don't start your freshman year,
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah. I feel I don't think it's a bad school. I just think that as a transfer student and a commuter,
that's going to play a lot.
It definitely plays a role in your experience, how you interact with the university and the people that go there. So I definitely feel I would have had a better experience if I went to Ohio State as a freshman, but I also feel I shouldn't have to come in as a freshman to have a good experience.
Yeah.
So that's just that.
I didn't even apply to Ohio State, and I kept getting why. Ohio State. Literally, when I got to Kentucky, everybody's like, "Why didn't you pick Ohio State? You don't go to Ohio State." I'm I did not even apply to that school.
I didn't even apply to that school. It wasn't even on the list.
And everybody's like, "Why not?" And I'm just one is too big. I don't want to stay home because I feel if I went to school here, I would get a job here. Then
get comfortable.
I want to stay forever. Versus, I feel like now that I'm home, I still will go away to go to work and stuff like that. And then eventually, if I want to move back here, I will.
But I feel that way too. Like, I think because I had that 1 year away, it definitely impacted me. It's like, I love being home now. I feel like I learned to love being home more so when I came home. But that 1 year away, it was nice. Like, even though like it was hard because I was like, it was my first time away. I was in Atlanta, and y'all know. I mean, you don't really know until you live there, but like Atlanta, it's fun. Atlanta's a good time. Like, it's a lot going on down there, and so like it was amazing. I'm not even gonna lie. It was hard, but I definitely enjoyed myself. So I don't know.
Getting away from home is like that one taste of freedom. So.
Yeah, but it's like, it's a lot of responsibility. There's times that I was in Atlanta, man. Me and my friends like combining our money to get food, to get to places. Like, but I feel like that's just college period. That's a period. I said per. I just feel like that's college period. Like, you really be broke for real.
Bro, looking back, I'm like, wow, I was really crunching pennies. Like,
Like, there was times where I remember one day, oh my gosh, I had like 60-something cents on my card, and I was just like,
what am I gonna do? Like, I can't.
It's so crazy because college like desensitizes you. You don't even feel triggered. You feel good that you got a little bit.
Yeah, it's like
a little bit of money.
You got $3 in your account.
You be like, wow, like I'm rich. Like, my mom just sent me $40. Like, you be feeling like, wow, like I'm on top of the world. You're the richest person in your dorm.
Yeah.
Exactly. I swear. Like, it just, oh my gosh, I feel like college really teaches you how to be resourceful.
It does.
Because you can,
I make
especially
if a couple months.
Not a couple,
because if you got a meal plan, you got a place to live, you can figure out how to get to point A to point B. You know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because was it Uber Pool in Atlanta? That was us. Like, one friend and the other friend, we would basically try to get the same. Like, Uber Pool is like you can get in the car with the same people.
Yeah.
But you would ride with other people. Yeah. So like, but it'd be like $3. It's dangerous as hell. Yeah. But it's great. It's $3. Like, we was Uber pooling all the time. Oh my gosh, all the time when we was in Atlanta, and it was just so convenient. Like, so I kind of feel like we was lucky, low key, to have something like that because a lot of people didn't have Uber.
Yeah. Well, we had a free like service that would take you. It's called Wildcat, and it had like a whole app. And it would take you basically all over like the tip for free as long as you was a UK student. Like, yeah, you can go put in an address as long as it was in like the vicinity. I would say it was like just like a couple miles outside of campus, but it was really nowhere you need to go. That was outside that range. Okay. Yeah. So we would go. We was running everywhere. Like,
y'all was lucky.
Yeah.
Because I think OSU has like a type of. Like, they have campus security that, like, if you're on one part of campus, they'll come get you and take you to another part. But we don't have, like...
Yeah, we had, like, ROTC. Like, if you're studying, like, at the library or anywhere on campus, they will come get you in a go-kart and take you, like, wherever you want to go. So you don't have to walk by yourself. But, yeah, Wildcat was Thursday through Saturday. 2 p.m.
I'm dead. To 3 a.m. So they had y'all together. They said, we know what y'all doing. We know what y'all like.
And honestly, it did just make it a lot safer because there was never a drunk driver. Nobody ever felt the need to do that because we had resources. And then when your friends worked there, it was like, yeah, just text me when you're ready. So
I think that's smart. That is really smart.
It was really safe.
I think because Ohio State is like, so if you're not familiar with Ohio State's campus, it's like all the places I guess you would go are pretty much on High Street. Yeah. So they're like walking distance from dorms, walking distance from apartments and stuff. So I feel like that's a part of why they don't have a service like that. Yeah. But then I think about places like West Campus, which is like by the stadium. And the stadium
it's not close.
It's not close enough to be trying to walk, no, and not late at night when you're super drunk. So I mean, I feel like it would be convenient. Well, I feel like they don't even consider West Campus is still campus, but it seems like it's so far off that it's like ain't nobody worry about what's going on out here. Like my friend, she used to park in the parking lot like further out near West Campus, and the shuttle barely came out there. Like so, yeah, they ain't worried about them on West Campus. That's kind of messed up. But I can honestly say, even though I've had my issues with Ohio State, I have my issues with Ohio State. I feel like it has definitely given me a lot more opportunities. Like, it has kind of given me a lot of chances to grow and expand myself as a person, as a student, as a Black person. So I feel like, even though it hasn't been the best experience, it was necessary. Yeah, it wasn't it hasn't been the best socially, but it's definitely necessary as far as like growing me professionally and just me academically.
Yeah,
it challenged me for sure because I feel like so Eastmore, like she said, she was in a biomed program and I was in like AP classes and stuff. So I feel like even though it was high school, we were definitely challenged and prepared. And I'm not saying Clark didn't challenge me, but I think that when I went down there, it wasn't as difficult to manage, I feel like, just because I lived on campus. I was able to, I promise you, one of my classes was in this building, like 5 minutes away from my dorm. So it's roll out of bed, literally 10 minutes before class type stuff. So it was just a lot easier and more convenient, I would say. So Ohio State, like, I've had to work a lot harder as far as like managing time. Like, I'm somebody who goes to office hours. Like, so I have to drive to campus, walk to their office, or catch the shuttle. So it's just a lot more. It has been a lot more effort that had to be put in on my end to be successful. And so it's been, I don't even know. It's an experience. It's been an experience for sure. So like, would you do it again?
Absolutely.
You would do it again?
I like the same exact school.
I don't think I would have. I know I wouldn't have, actually.
The same exact school, like the people I met, the lessons I learned, the experiences that I gained, like the memories. Like, I was just talking to my line sisters and we was like, dang, college really is a scam, but the memories look worth it. But like, honestly, yeah, like,
I feel that.
We was spending all this money to go to the school, and it's like, yes, I gained academic resources and all that stuff, but just like the whole life lessons and everything that I gained outside of academics, I definitely wouldn't go back on. Yeah,
I feel like that's what you pay for too.
Yeah,
for real, because like a lot of the stuff, I mean, school is school. Like, I feel like school, no matter where you go, school's gonna be school, and of course, as you move up the levels, it gets harder, it changes, whatever. But like, I feel like when you're paying that money, you really are paying for the city you're gonna be in. You're paying for the people you're gonna meet. You're paying for the experiences you're gonna have.
On campus.
Yeah, so it's not like I mean, no, tuition's crazy. Like, to go to college,
$40K a year.
I don't know how much Ohio State's is because I am blessed and highly favored, Pell Grant eligible. Yes, I am. I don't know anything about that. But Clark was, when I went, $32,000. So I was pretty much there with you. Yeah. And my mom was paying monthly for me to go down there, plus paying for my brother to go to Catholic school. So it was a lot. Like, it was a lot of money. And even though that's the one thing, like, I would never, y'all would never hear me publicly shame of HBCU ever. But I definitely feel like they just lack in some resources as far as like I had a 3.75 Q. I got a 3.5 and a 4.0 my first year, and there was no scholarship money to apply for. There was nothing to like. There was no, like, Clark didn't have scholarships in a sense, and it's like you kind of there's not really.
Do you think they didn't have the funding, or they just didn't have those resources set up?
I feel like it may be a combo. Like, not like a combo, because I feel like, if you don't have the resources, how you gonna set it up? But I feel like they don't have the resources, and there may not be like active work being done to get those resources. Like, I don't know. I know like some people was there on full ride scholarships because their ACT scores, or like, the Coca-Cola scholarship, all that different stuff. But I don't know. Clark, they just weren't trying to give no money. I don't know. I don't know if they weren't trying to or if they didn't have it. Like, I do feel like HBCUs, not that I feel like, I know, we all know, HBCUs are underfunded.
Yeah, definitely. And then they give the funding to like the same schools.
Different schools. Or they give money to schools, but they give it to the wrong departments, like athletics. So that's not even like that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I can relate to that too.
But
basketball players.
UK is real big with basketball.
Yeah, the basketball team has their own whole own dorm with their own personal chef.
And, excuse me.
Yes,
a personal chef.
Yes, all athletes have personalized book bags with their names on it, gear, jackets, shoes. The whole 9 yards, everything.
Fancy. That's what it sounds like.
Which I recently found out that like technically all like athletes don't have full rides, but it really just depends on the sport. If it's a big sport, I think the majority of people get rides, depending on if they're a walk-on or not. But like if it's a big sport, but if it's a smaller sport, not necessarily. So like it depends, but still they all have like big resources. They all automatically have tutors. Like set up, they have a certain amount of hours. They have to go to their tutors, like all this stuff.
So they have a very like strict.
Yeah, everything is set up for them. Like they don't even have to pick out their books. They go to the bookstore. Everything's already picked out for them. They go get it.
Must be nice. I wish I played a sport, y'all. Like I swear I could have been somebody's tennis player or something.
Yeah, I had classes with but you kind of have. There's a lot of athletes, so you have classes with different people. But I had like a lot of swimmers. At one point I was an RA in a athletic dorm, so I had lots of different athletes in there too. I had classes with people that ran track, different stuff, but yeah, they have a lot of resources. A lot of money. Like, where's the money for us, right?
You know. But were there any like, I guess, what were like the downsides?
The downsides?
Yeah, because it sounds so great. I mean, I listen. I'm gonna let Janelle tell it because I have a lot of downsides. So just let Janelle
I mean, like there's lots of pros and cons, but I don't know. Like because it was a PWI, and obviously we're surrounded by white people in Kentucky, of all places. The black culture, like the black students, just like were that much tight. Like everything made us come together. Like we all supported each other. Most of the time hung out, a lot of stuff. So one thing I would say is that there was kind of like a segregation as far as white students and black students. Like it was really like they would have events going on that literally the whole campus knew about. We would know nothing about it. Like, and like things weren't even like advertised or documented to us, just because like that wasn't our demographic. Like, and we didn't have people in those places. And a lot of people would think that well, black students separate themselves, but it wasn't necessarily that. Like it was more so if we're not welcome, not even that we're not welcome, if we're not invited, that don't even look like our type of thing, we're gonna go make our own.
Right.
Yeah. So
so creating your own space.
Yeah, we definitely, I want to say, created our own space, a lot of our own niches, had our own programs, lots of organizations. Like I'm trying to think of what else could be a downside. I don't know. It was a culture shock.
Yeah.
You know, going to a PWI because I grew up predominantly black, everything, predominantly black neighborhood, predominantly black school, predominantly black church. All my friends were black. So going to school, I'm like, what the when I first got there, I was just kind of like,
what is going on? Like, what did I do?
Right, and then having a white roommate, like, I was like,
I didn't even know you had a white roommate.
Yes, I was just kind of like, I mean, that's different. Like, you do stuff, but hey, you know, that's you.
It's different. Everybody don't grow up different. I mean, grow up the same. So I feel like it's different living with somebody. It's different living with somebody. Period. But like living with somebody of a different race, that's a whole different experience. I feel like that's a whole wow.
Like I remember the first time I went to a white party for the first time, like I was just like, don't bring me no more. Like this is not what I signed up for. This is like this is what they be doing. I don't do that. They be playing beer pong and stuff. That's so weird.
So
like,
it's crazy because my senior year of high school, so, cause like we were like kicking it. So I know we used to go play sand volleyball on campus all the time. And I remember one time we were up there and it was like a whole group of us from Eastmore, like 18-year-olds, 18, 17-year-olds. Because it wasn't just us, like it was a couple people from the class under us. And we went to this party And we didn't know nobody, but it's like all these white people, they were playing beer pong. We in there, our friends playing beer pong, and we kicking it and stuff. And they was outside dancing. This man started like pouring this jug of tea on himself. It was real like
They be doing crazy.
I know they be doing crazy stuff, but I feel like that was my first time, like my first encounter with like partying with white people. Because even when I went to Clark, like that was not happening. I was to HBCU and I was in Atlanta, which is one of the blackest cities in the country. So it's just, I didn't have that experience. Like even coming home, I think I was not against partying with white people, but I was more so like, I don't know where they party. I don't know where they're at. And then like even walking down Chit, which is the street that a lot of people live on, I'm not going to none of them parties. I don't know how we were so bold when we were in high school. We just walked up to their house like, hey y'all, like we knew like we were supposed to be here. They looking at us and we looking at them like, hey, like let's get a drink. And now I would never, because even like, was it when classes, because we went on quarantine, everybody went home, but I was on campus one day, and this is like, I was just riding on campus or whatever, and somebody had a Make America Great Again sign on their house, and it was like this big banner, and I was just like, see, you just never know who you be around. Like that's on Ohio State's campus. We go here. I'm here I live here. I live in a city, and there's people who live not even 15 minutes away from me who support Trump.
Yeah,
so,
I can relate to that too, because like political things, like especially my freshman year, 2016, when Donald Trump got elected, so like there was already like a spike in like racial encounters. I had a friend who got called the N-word and like got water sprayed on her like from a car passing, like it was little stuff like that going on. But then additionally, there's like a fraternity that's like, if they're known for being racist, and they do all this stuff. They have like a cocaine ring in their basement. They do crazy shit. And they are not allowed to be kicked off, apparently, our campus because of, like, one of their founders or members or something like that is technically owns the library, and it's in his, like, will that if they kick the fraternity off campus, the library has to become public. So, like, they never get punished for anything that they do. Like, basically, they have, like, lawyers on deck for any time they get in trouble. Like, it's so bad. Yes, it's so bad.
Terrible.
But like even that, there are like fraternities that they walk around constantly with shirts that are Reagan Bush shirts. Like their election, and every time I see that, I'm like, that's literally a slap in the face, because like what Reagan did to our people, like as a society under his presidency, like, and it's just like it's like a slight jab, because it's like if people don't know the history and what Reagan did under his presidency, they don't get it. They won't understand it. They just think it's a shirt. But seeing that's literally like the same thing as wearing a Trump shirt, basically, or walking around.
And I feel like you experience a lot of like kind racists at PWI. It's like people who don't, they don't think they're racist, but they're very racist. Yes. Like and it's like, and I think those, I'm not even gonna lie, those kind of people are the worst kind of racist to me, because then it's like
they think they're so innocent.
You don't even know that you are projecting this stuff on me. You don't even know that you're oppressing me. You don't know that you're like setting me up to fail, basically. Like what I say is, if you're gonna be racist, just be racist.
Just be out and
be racist, because I'd rather you I know where you stand and you know where I stand as a black woman, so we're not crossing paths. But I don't like that whole idea of you could be smiling in my face and behind my back you really like hate me for real. Like I don't like that. And that's
my freshman year, I had a friend, she actually used my Deja. She had 3 white roommates, to which all of them were Trump supporters. Like all of them were voted for Trump and like were in favor of him. And it was like this thing. I remember when he won the election, and in her group chat somebody said, how you feel about or you see our new president or some shit like that.
Trying to be funny.
Yeah, it's trying to be funny. And we had to come over there and wreck shit and like be in their face and scare them, basically, because like, why would you say something like that? Like, you think that's funny? Like even if it's a joke, why do you think that's funny when people are being
don't try to intimidate me?
Exactly.
Like you already know I'm stressed. Like
you already know it's affecting me.
And it's so interesting that you bring up like your experience when Trump was elected, because when like I was in Atlanta at the time, and it was so crazy because I remember being in my dorm And I'm like, my friend Jazz, she was sitting in our like living room, and she's just like, she was the only one down there just watching. And I walked past her a couple times. I go upstairs and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm going to sleep. Like, I can't even take this. And my roommate woke me up and was like, Donald Trump just won the election. And when I tell y'all, I said, I went right back to sleep. Like, this is crazy. I said, this is too much. And then like the next day, you could feel the energy. Like, I feel like for y'all, it was more so tension because y'all had white people on your campus. For us, it was like the heaviest energy was like over our university. Like, nobody was talking. People were not smiling like on the promenade talking. Like the CAF, usually we got a DJ in there. It was just quiet, dead silent. Nobody had anything to say. Like, I had an exam in one of my math classes, failed it, was in there crying. Like, I was walking around campus just bawling because it was just like it was so much. And then I was in Georgia, so and I'm from Ohio, so I'm like, hold on, because even though like we are fortunate, even though we talk our stuff about Ohio, we are very fortunate to be in the Midwest because at least people are a little more forward with their thinking. But I was in Georgia, and of course it's kind of like being naive in a sense because you learn about the South and everybody's super racist down there and there's all this separation. So for me, I'm thinking, I said the KKK coming. I said they coming to campus. They about to shut it down. They're about to come get us. I'm like, I was ready to go home. I was about to call my mom. Like, I need the flight because this is too much. Like, it was definitely it was like traumatic.
Yeah, I remember the night, like the election, like literally like it was yesterday. I can picture the whole thing in my mind because the Deltas on campus, our chapter, they had a watch party. So we were there, at first like watching it, and then like once the watch party ended, everybody went back to like their specific areas to watch it on their own. So me and my friends are literally like in the common area of one of her dorms, watching it on the TV. And like literally when it announced that he won, like we started we literally started bawling, and it was a lot of like harsh emotions. And I remember this guy walked by and he said something like, "Oh, y'all see who the president is?" And my white friend that was standing there at the time, she like, "You think this funny? Like this is not
this is not a game."
Yeah, like this is actually changing the way people are. He was like, "I'm just asking a question." He was like, "No, you know what you're doing." Like,
right.
And it was the next day, you could literally feel like the energy, like in everybody, everywhere.
It just kind of exposed everybody. It's like, I felt like America was so seen. I feel like in that moment, like it just goes to show that all this time we thought that there was real change, real progress happening, and then we ended up with Donald Trump as a president, and it was just I think for me, it was like when I was watching the states go from red to blue or blue to red, some of the states I was like, oh my gosh, like, are y'all serious? I said, for real? Like, y'all really gonna do this to us? So it was just like, it just really like lifted the veil. It really just showed that there are so many people who are still like so set in their ways, set in old ways about the way they think this country should run. We had Obama for 8 years, and then we turn around and have Donald Trump. So it goes to show that people were not feeling that. They was like, we do not want change. We don't want to see that happen again. Y'all had y'all's fun.
Right.
But now we're back to the regularly scheduled program. Because if you want to be real, all of our presidents have been...
Yeah, everybody thinks that Donald Trump is such a madman, but like he's not the only one.
He's just a public idiot. Yeah. All of our other presidents have been
more so
groomed and coached, and they follow the rules, so it's easier
to
for
an extent.
To an extent. Follow the rules as in like if the people back behind them gave them a script, they're like, all right, here we go, we following it. Donald Trump, he is the problem. So there is no cleaning it up. There's the president be cleaning up the messes. How the president go clean himself up? I don't know. And I'm sorry to say he's a Gemini. So
girl, do not ever review with Donald Trump. Get out of here.
No. I would never compare you to Donald Trump. I'm just saying your sign. I'm sorry, y'all. Geminis are vicious. Okay,
they're great people.
we're going to have another talk about astrology another day because we're not even going to do this right now. But just a disclaimer, I would never compare my good sis to Donald Trump in public. No, I'm just playing. You know what? I'm just playing. I would never do you like that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, how was it finding, like, spaces for Black people then? Like, because you said you feel like the community was so tight-knit, and for me, I kind of feel like it was very separate, because I think, like, how you said there's, like, segregation amongst the students. I feel like Ohio State's Black students really care about assimilating, in a sense, like merging into the different groups and stuff. And I feel different ways about it, because I feel like, you know, Ohio State has a lot to offer, and I feel like there are like STEM programs, art programs, all these different things that are predominantly white that Black students really should be taking advantage of, that we definitely should have access to. But at the same time, I don't feel like there's a strong enough presence of Black orgs, because I, off the top of my head, I can think about BSA, AYL, and Greek people, and that's it. And you said what?
That's it.
And barely the Greek presence, to be honest. Oh, African American Heritage Festival, I was on that committee, but that's also, it's a year-long committee, and they plan a week of events, so it's not like a committee, like a club. It's not something like that. Like I know there's maybe like a dance team, but it's not a Black dance team. I think is like, it's not a specifically ran Black dance team. I think so. And so I feel like we didn't have a lot of Black groups, but do you feel like y'all had a lot more because y'all were kind of forced to be tight-knit in a sense?
Yes, but we have like a center, so we have like the Black Student Union, which is also a student rep organization, but we have what's called an MLK Center, so Martin Luther King Jr. Center, and there they cultivate a lot of different things, not just for all minorities, but there's them, and then I want to say there's like a Spanish heritage organization that works with them, but they put on a lot of organization, like programs and stuff like that for us as a people. And then once we got our student center, so it was kind of broken up a little bit clicky when I first got to campus, but I was also like really off with my friends. I wasn't really in the like whole group of everybody. But like once the Martin Luther King Center, once the student center was built, because we didn't have it my first 2 years, it wasn't like fully developed until they rebuilt it my junior year. Once that was built, literally everybody hangs out in there. That's why everybody like cultivates, everybody collects. So that's where really we can socialize throughout the day, and everybody stops. But even outside of that, we have like a ton of organizations. So like there are lots of resources, lots of different organizations what games you can get involved in. And I want to say everybody does like reach out to them, and there are Black people and representatives in almost every group, except like White Greek Life, which there are some Black people, but they're not really representatives. Like, okay. And then, but additionally, it's like there are organizations that are predominantly Black that all support each other. Like, so I was on the Implicit Dance Crew. It's not like you don't have to be Black to be on it, but it's Black ran. We do Black events. Right. Like, so that's majority Black. But there's also, there's BSU. There's Manners, which is agriculture group for minorities. There's NAACP has a really active chapter. What else is there? There's just like lots of different organizations that no matter really what you were doing or what your niche was, you could find something to do that would not only plug you with those resources, but a lot of us all support each other, and then we can have other like programs right outside of it. So like there are lots of us that were student ambassadors, like a part of different programs, and like representatives, Res Life, different things like that. So people definitely had plugs in like outside sources and outside organizations, but also I want to say almost everybody was in something that was like Black too.
And like, I mean, I know that there's definitely more Black groups on campus, because like we had Family Affair. We do Family Affair every year, so it's like they do the Student Org Fair, which is all the organizations on campus, and they usually do it down college, I want to say. So they usually block it off, and it's like all these tables, like all these you can walk all the way through. But then Family Affair is specifically for the Black and minority like organizations on campus, and I know that there's more, but I think that
like having a presence,
I don't think there's a strong enough presence. I don't think there's enough connection between the leaders of the organization. So it seems like there's a lot of separation. Like I know the Society of Sisters and I think it's Band of Brothers or something like that. I know they're brother sister orgs, but it's like, you know, they do events together, and then there's like the NAACP does their events, and maybe BSA and maybe AYL, but it's like you kind of see the same big groups doing the same stuff. Like Heritage Fest is every single year, so everybody knows like when here, you know, it's gonna be a week of events. Everybody knows what's coming. You've been on the committee the whole year, so like it's just, I feel like the it's not that I don't think, because I'm not gonna lie, there was times where BSA would have like they have their weekly meetings and stuff, and I wouldn't go just because I don't live on campus. But I feel like I don't know if there's enough outreach being
to
done
get people there.
to get people there. I feel like it's kind of like, if you know, then you go, kind of thing. But if you don't know, then it is what it is. And I mean, you can sign up, but it's like, what if you miss family affair? Like, what if you miss, you don't know what's going on? And so I feel like there needs to be a better like connection. Because I get emails about all types of stuff at Ohio State that I don't even remember putting my name down for, but I feel like, you know, there's a certain way that more information can be like funneled to the Black community at OSU, or minorities period. So I don't know, like, and I will say that when I first got there, I was real like hesitant to engage anyway. Like I'm a very social person. I love being involved. Like when I was at Clark, I was in different orgs. I was like in housing. I was doing all types of different stuff. But when I got to OSU, I was definitely like taken aback. Like you said, it was a culture shock. It was very overwhelming for me. So I didn't know how to find my footing in that. And then when I did, I was in those spaces, but I even feel like, and I already know what I already know, because I always say this about the Black community at OSU, and it's not that I'm attacking the Black community, because I know for like there's some people within the community that I have a great relationship with, people that I've talked to personally, or just people I don't know who have a really good presence in the Black community at OSU. But the real is there's not enough fellowship within the Black community. There's not enough like connecting with each other, and so I feel like, you know, there's a lot of like,
and that probably has to do with like making sure y'all have your own spaces to go to.
Own spaces, own things to do. And it definitely turns into that crab in the barrel mentality where it's like only one person, like only one crab can really like get out and be in the top. And it's how I feel, and where like how I'm moving in my life today is I feel like there's space for all of us. There's more than enough space for all of us, and then some. And so when I'm, you know, as I'm moving up the ladder, I have no problem pulling somebody else up behind me, with me, next to me, or whatever, because I feel like at the end of the day, we are all in this space, and we can all shine in these spaces. And so I think at OSU, we are kind of like conditioned in a way to feel like more than one Black person cannot shine, or more than one org cannot shine. And I just feel like if all the Black orgs like really, you know, went in and, you know, hosted good events, like hosted strong events, consistent events, you know, and I think it also has to do with funding. If we have more funding, like fundraising, you know, work, you know, I feel like it's a lot of components and pieces that go into it, but I do feel like there's a lot of separation within the Black community at OSU, and it's not just, to me, it's not, I feel like it's just a conditioning in a way, because we go to OSU for the resources, for the access that they give us. So we want to be in that, you know, we want to have that access. And so we step away from our orgs and join other orgs because they get more resources and they get more access. So
I would say how UK differs is that we have plenty of spaces to go to. So like there's a Martin Luther King Center where you can go, and they have like this open space where sometimes you host events and stuff, but throughout the day, that's just where people are going in and out in between classes, hanging out, having a conversation. Then additionally, BSU has their own office that people go into and study and go in there and chill all the time. And so does NAACP. So like there are different places that we can go and that we collect really to be as a group. But then also like at the beginning of the year, you guys have Family Affair, we have Minority Student Welcome. And that's where like I found my organizations to be a part of like my freshman year. But then everybody also is like, everybody is like, if you join one organization or you're talking to somebody and you tell them about your interest, they're like, oh, well, there's this, and you can go join. Yeah. So like everybody's plugging people in. There's lots of collabs. So like at the end of last semester, well, technically, yeah, it was in the middle of the semester before spring break, before COVID and everything happened. Black Voices, which is a Black gospel choir, had a game night in the middle of the student center, and they basically made a collab with every Black organization. So like everybody was there, and it was literally like all games. It was music, everybody was dancing. It was just a good time, and it was just great having all of us there to bond and really be together. But then you could also see the separation, because white people are walking through the streets and they're like, what is this? And they stop and watch us, and like they're looking at us like we a TV show, like we animals or something like that, because they never seen something like this. But yeah, we definitely had something together, because it was like, even if you didn't find your organization, like if you're talking to me, like if we're talking to a freshman and you're like, yeah, I do this and this, I'm just saying, oh, well, you should go to this meeting, or you should go to this, or you should go to that. Everybody was trying to constantly plug people in so that everybody could find their niche. Which even if like you weren't trying to find like a business organization or like a political organization, or you weren't in art, there were still like social organizations and social groups that still had things. So it was kind of something for everybody to get into. At the same time, people that weren't a part of any organization still kind of could fit in and find an area to do something, you know?
Yeah, like I mean, we have Hale, which is it's kind of like a center union space, because my mom, when she went to Ohio State, she said that, you know, her and my dad was talking about like how they were in the union more so. So that's where people would linger. That's where the Black students met up. They said there was a bowling alley down there or something like that. I'm like, they used to be turned, you know. And she talks about how, you know, they were very tight knit, because I feel like it was kind of the same exchange as whereas like there was a lot of segregation happening in their spaces, and they had to create different groups and spaces for themselves. And so we have the Hale Center, but Hale is so small that it's like you really can't host a large event. Like how when you said like the gospel group, like they invited everybody. Yeah. We cannot do that. Like there's no space. And when we tried, and even Family Affair, so Family Affair was behind Hale, but it started raining. It was raining that day, so they wanted to move it inside. And even inside, it was so congested. It's like you can't move around, you can't really sit at a table and hear what's going on. But now, you know, a lot of the groups could fit in one room. So that, you know, it's not that, it wasn't really like, I just feel like it's not a lot of opportunities for Black people on campus to fellowship, because there's not space for it. There's not a lot of space for it. Like, and there are other orgs that have been made and created and jump offs and all that stuff. And I feel like there can be more collaboration. It can be more of a connection. I think it's just the culture. I feel like it's just the culture. Like, I don't know, because when we do, and it's so crazy, when we have Black events, like, okay, so me and my, I talked about my co-chair in another event, the previous episode, but me and my co-chair, Jazeer, when we did kick off, everybody was there. It was like, everybody's vibing. It was a silent party, so, you know. I love silent. It was so fun. So, but that was the first time I had ever seen all the Black students at OSU really, like, come together, have a good time, kick it, whatever. And so I feel like we want these programs, we want these things, we want to fellowship, but I think that because we don't have the space, we're not granted spaces where we can actually fit. There's not like a lot of, and you don't like, because I feel like it's not a lot of funding, there's not a lot of resources, not a lot of money coming into these organizations like it is in the white organizations. So you really want to collab with them because they have more resources versus collabing with another Black org because y'all gotta scrape stuff together to figure it out. So I think that, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts, I feel like. But I think it's just unfortunate that Ohio State has all the resources that it does, and it's such a large university, and yet I feel so disconnected from the Black community. Like I would have thought that because it's the biggest PWI that y'all as Black people would be like that much tighter. Like it would force y'all together. You know what I mean? And I think what it is it's not a lot of forcing that has to happen because there's separate schools, like, the School of Business, the School of Law, the School of Medicine, it's all these different things. So once you get into your major, you're kind of like in those classes with whoever's in your major or whatever. You don't necessarily have to fellowship. Like, it's Ohio State, because I feel like Ohio State is a public institution. It's very city-like. So you don't have to live on campus. Like, it's small. The university itself, like the campus, is it's contained in a sense. It's contained, but living off because it's like you live off campus, but it's still technically on campus, and so it's like, and there's so many different places. Like I said, there's West Campus, but you can also stay in North Campus, South Campus. Like this, there's like you can stay on Chick, you can stay down High Street. It's all these different areas like that you could live in. So people, like, I feel like some universities that are a little smaller, y'all have designated housing, even though it's not on campus housing. It's like not designated housing, but like when people move off campus, this is where they're gonna go. Like there's like a designated living area, like not a technical designated, but everybody moves out there because that's just it's cheap housing, whatever for students. Ohio State has so many of those that it's like people aren't going from living in the same dorm and then living in the same dorm, then moving to an apartment with the people who they live in dorms with, or like that same living with those same kind of people. They're moving into apartments with people who live in the city, with people who don't even go to the university. Like it's I don't know. It's very like Ohio State is very much a part of the city, so it's like not a separate entity for real. Like. It is
like your student housing. There are people that are not students.
Yeah, like it's not. It's not like cut off. Yeah, it's like kind of smacked in the middle of the city. So it's like
it's not like exclusive to students.
Yeah.
Like that.
So I feel like it's just a lot of different things that's going on there. Yeah. That kind of like separate. Well, that kind of causes us to separate or have to be separate. But
yeah, for us, it's like. When you get on campus, which there's different places, like you can live on North, South, Central, wherever you live, like on campus. But when you move off campus, for the most part, student housing is majority students, which is lots of different complexes. It's like, I want to say it's like 5 different ones that people live in. But for the majority, it is like mostly students. And then people usually move in with rooms that they have from college, or like they find their friends or their little niches to find. To move with, which every now and then you'll hear like a horror story of somebody living with somebody that's old, because you didn't be like, why are you living here? This is student housing. But yeah, for the most part, I don't know. Housing, it just depends. And they're building like, because they just built apartments technically that are still considered student housing, so that changed a lot too.
Okay, see, I don't, and I think it's hard for me to talk about Ohio State specifically, like the campus itself, because I'm so removed. I feel like
because you're a commuter.
Because I'm a commuter and because I'm a transfer student, I feel like that really plays a heavy role in my experience. And so I feel like there's people who went to Ohio State that love it. They think it's amazing. They had a great time. They done got into different organizations, they'd have been a part, they traveled and done all this stuff. Like, because I transferred, I feel like I didn't have as much opportunities to travel with student trips. I wasn't able to join as many orgs. Like, I feel like I could have, but I think
it was harder to adjust.
It's hard. It's harder because I don't live in off-campus, on-campus housing. Like, I literally live in the city, so like I have to drive to campus, and that's like another barrier. Like once I leave campus, I don't want to go back up there. I don't have nothing to say or do. And it's like, especially if I'm going up there and I gotta pay for parking, because I have a parking pass, but Ohio State's parking pass is like the amount for a parking pass was high, so. It's ridiculous. And so it's like the events would be further away from where my designated parking is, so I would have to walk at night. Like it was it just wasn't safe, and it just wasn't worth it to me. And so that's why at this point I don't complain anymore, because I could put more effort into like being on campus, being involved, but that would require me to be on campus, driving all the time, being on campus super late. Like it's just, I feel like it's really a hassle, and they try to because there's there's Buckeye Lot, which is the transfer students and commuter students parking lot. Like a lot of commuters park there and catch the shuttle from there. And so they would have like different groups sit out there to try to basically connect transfer students and commuters together. But it's just like emails. It's not really like there's events, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's just a lot of pushback because it seems like it's just a lot more effort to be. You're already a student, like you're already a full-time student, and then you have to drive back and forth. You have to catch the shuttle. I hate the shuttles at OSU. You have to catch the shuttles. You have to walk. There's construction. It's just like nobody has time for that. So I feel like I do think that's what it is. Ohio State is just such a city school that it's like it's literally in the city. So it's just I feel like it's not Ohio State the campus. Like it's very much
Columbus.
Yeah, Columbus. It's just Ohio State. It's just in the middle of the city for real. So I feel like and because I'm from here too, I think it's just I don't feel like I'm exploring. Like it's not like I'm doing anything different than what I've already done. Like I said,
like you go to Ohio State so many times.
I was a part of what was it? Life sports. I did life sports when I was younger, which was at Ohio State. I went to the Buckeye for a day, I think twice when I was in high school. Ohio State, we had all types of events up there because Kip has like a lot of connections to Ohio State, so we had a lot of them come to us. We went to them. Like when you're in Columbus, and I'm like that's like any city. When you're going to go to your city's university a lot, and so we heard a lot about Ohio State. We were always there, and so
it's just so in your face.
Yeah. Well, I say also when I was a senior again, like we started going up there playing volleyball. Yeah. We started like kicking it more so on campus. So I was already getting to know the area. It wasn't like anything new to me. So I mean, I wasn't excited to go. Like I actually liked my experience at Columbus State way more than I did at Ohio State because I realized that I liked that smaller campus setting because that's how Clark was. It was very small, so everybody kind of had to be around each other type thing. And then we were also around Spelman and Morehouse, so we had our little community. So I like that tight-knit closeness that we were introduced to. And when I lost that, it was very, it was just shocking because we had that at Eastmore too. We had that at Eastmore. You have that kind of like, I don't want to say it's like a coddling, but I feel like it's just, you get used to, that's just what I feel like what Black people do. Yeah. Naturally. We come together, we congregate together. That's just kind of how we are. We moved together, and so when I went to Ohio State, it's just very odd to me. Like I can't.
Yeah, that's like when you told me about it, I was surprised.
It's just very and then and you know, I don't know. It's just it may be me again because I'm a commuter, but and I didn't start out there. But I just from the outside looking in, it just is because we've had events where people come together and we kick it. Like I said, I feel like we won it. But I think because it's not offered to us
like it's not
consistently, it's not already so like we have to work extra hard to get those things. It just ends up being easier collabing with the white orgs. Like it just ends up being easier talking to the white students, you know, because they have the resources we don't. Yeah. So
which like for us, like even before the student center, when the student center wasn't there, there was this place called Bowman's, which is basically where all the food was. And Black people would congregate there, like, and all sit at tables together and do stuff like that. So, like, after my freshman year, really, like, I didn't have anyone. I had one white friend, and then we weren't really cool again after my sophomore year, and she ended up transferring anyway. So I had all Black friends. Like, and really, I wouldn't know any white people for real currently from my university if I didn't, like, have jobs and stuff like that. So that's where I met other white people.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, I met white people, like, in my classes. Because I'm a women's studies major and I'm also a film major. And I was a film major. And so film, I feel like, is very, like, whitewashed at OSU. I won't even say whitewashed. It's just very theory-based. It's not very hands-on. So that's why film ended up becoming my minor. But WGSS, there are definitely a lot of minorities in those classes. Like, I would count and be like, wow, there's so many black people in here. But it's definitely still heavily saturated with white people.
Yeah.
And I remember just this past semester, I was in this group with three or four other white women.
It's draining.
It was the most interesting experience to me. Like, we were just having these I was kind of like in the middle. I'm like, I'm cool, whatever, because in my head, our professor, she was like showing up late to class, not showing up at all, like
that's so unprofessional.
Canceling class. Like, so in my head, I'm like, this class is a joke. She don't care, so I don't care. But and I kind of think the rest of my group kind of felt that way. But one girl in my group was like super serious about it and real, I don't know, and they got into this argument one day, and I'm not gonna lie, y'all, because I never really had white friends growing up. I've never seen white people argue before.
God, girl, freshman year I seen some white folks argue.
It's a whole thing. They were arguing, they were going back and forth, and one of the girls just got up and left in the middle of the conversation. I said, I'm like in shock because I didn't really know how to handle it. I was just kind of there. And so it's an interesting experience to see them interact with each other. I know this sounds so like weird, but I feel like when you grow up in black world. I mean, even though I grew up in Pickerington, but my whole cul-de-sac for the most part was black. I went to black schools. I'm actually the one out of my siblings that ended up going to black schools all the way through. So it's like. It was just very different to experience, and so I don't have white friends.
Yeah,
and it's not that I'm against them or against that. Like because in high school I had a white friend. Like I know white people. I just think that
you had a white friend in high school, girl?
Courtney.
I'm not that. Who went to high school with us? Like,
who was there with us? Like
I'm like Richard.
Like Richard mix. He's just white skin,
right?
But it's like I'm not against having white friends, but I think it's kind of the same thing. How they probably feel the same way we feel. Yeah, they're kind of like maybe they don't want to be friends with us, and I'm like maybe they don't want to be friends with me. So when I was in my WGSS classes, I made sure I kind of pushed myself to have more conversation with white people, with different people, because I feel like sometimes we get so set in our ways that we don't want to push.
Yeah.
We don't want to try and connect. And I think
I got into that.
Yeah.
Because I definitely did push to make relationships in classes, just because every now and then I would see one or two other minorities in my classes, and of course if we make groups, so I'm gonna look at them like, hey, what you trying to do? But I remember last semester, it was the first week of classes, and I walked into this class, and it's like, class isn't even about to start. It's 5 more minutes, and I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm the only black person. I know for a fact it's nobody else. So by the time class started, it was nobody. And it's I kind of sat in my shell, but at the same time I would kind of speak up. But it was just it
makes you feel reserved.
It does. It makes you feel reserved because I'm sitting here and I know for a fact nobody else even notices that I'm the only minority in the entire room. They don't even see a difference between people sitting next to them because they don't have to look for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting because it's for me, I was in WGSS spaces, and so I knew that the people in those spaces. Well, I hoped that the people in those spaces were open-minded and a little more forward in their thinking as well. So it's it was I really feel like it was a different experience because if I stayed in film and was in those film classes, then I wouldn't necessarily have to be as concerned about how I feel like I was more so concerned about how I was viewed in those film classes. But when I was in those WGSS spaces, especially the black women classes, the black women writers classes, history classes, those things, I felt like I had more power in those spaces. I feel like, because I'm a black woman, I'm I'm here. This class is for me, kind of thing. So it was nice, being a women's studies major, being seen in that way. But in the film department, no. Even my counselor, my advisor, something else. I feel when I asked for different clubs to join for film, she was giving me all these different mostly white organizations, and she was kind of trying to give me some minority stuff, but it doesn't exist. Yeah. So it's just like I feel like we're not accounted for in that major, and in those spaces, and so it was different going into WGSS classes, knowing what we were going to be talking about, knowing the things that we were addressing and the situations that we were talking about, knowing that like there were white women in those classes, but they weren't necessarily considered superior or like they weren't given special treatment. Like, and it was interesting to have white female professors or white women professors like purposely single out white women, because we like I had my professor who, I love this woman, she's so amazing. We literally in our senior seminar, she separated us by like race, like by my like different groups, and we just kind of talked about our issues. Like the white people talked about what they needed to talk about, because she says sometimes it's important to create a collective with people that look like you. Yeah. Because it's hard to kind of be in conversation sometimes with white people, or as a black person, or as a white person in conversation with Asian people or something like that, so she kind of separated us, and we talked about our different issues as that specific group, and then we came together and kind of like talked about them as a whole. And I think breaking it down that way is like the house can get themselves together, and so then when people come into it, we're a little more uniform, we're a little more together. And so I've never had that happen before. That was my first time experiencing that in a class period. And so it was, I feel like I've been more seen in my WGSS classes than any other space, at OSU or just universities, period. Like,
and then just seeing, like, going to PWI, like, being around white people, you realize that they live in a completely different reality. Oh, man. And it's like, I kind of knew, but I didn't realize how completely different their reality truly is. Because, like, I remember the first time it hit me that, like, no matter how woke a white person is, especially if they live in like a higher privilege, a higher society, they're not going to understand where you are from. No. So like my freshman year, I had a friend who was white, but she was she wanted to be like a lawyer to defend people that are racially discriminated. She had like a black boyfriend, all this other stuff. She was a hip hop dancer, all this stuff, whatever. But I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, okay, she's cool, whatever. She was one of those people who would consider herself woke. She was constantly reading and like trying to educate herself. So it's not like she was just like one of those people who was trying to be in black culture. She was trying to educate herself and do different things so that she could try to help change.
And like, and I think it's different, like educating yourself so you know what's going on versus there's a difference between educating yourself and assimilating. Because I could know about something and never do it a day in my life. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't, like there's certain things that I know that aren't for me. And that's okay, because everything isn't for you. And I think a lot of times when white people are learning about our culture, they tend to assimilate to it or they appropriate it in a sense. And it's like, you don't have to be me to understand me. Yeah. And so it just was, I don't know, it kind of shook me up. It shook up my thoughts about OSU, because I felt like I was so like, white people just don't care. They don't want to talk. They don't this, that, and the third. They don't want black friends, like all this stuff. When I think it's kind of like I said earlier, on both sides, I'm feeling like you don't want to talk to me, you feeling like I don't want to talk to you, so we don't talk. Versus like, it's not a hate thing, it's just because of the history, because of the tension, the differences, and especially with Trump being president, our whole time we were in college, it's like you don't know where people's heads are at. So you wouldn't catch me just walking up to a random white person saying hello, because I don't know if they're a Trump supporter. I don't know what's going to happen after I say hello or smile at them or whatever. And I noticed that too. A lot of black people do not smile at each other on PWI campuses. And that's very...
everybody say each other.
It's just so weird. It's so weird how...
Which is not everybody, but for the most part, you get a nod or what's up.
I think we don't even... Because the culture, because white people don't do that. White people don't do that. The Asian people on campus hang out with each other and stuff, so they're already, communicating. But I feel like because the culture doesn't call for us to do that, when you don't get shocked when you see another black person, but you're kind of like, oh, hey, and then you're like, but it's like too late to say hello. The exchange is like weird. I don't know, like it's a weird situation. So I feel like we just don't have our own culture created at Ohio State for black students, and because of that, it's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of like people are in this but they're not in this. They want to do this but they don't want to do this. It's just like if we had a set like precedent for like what orgs are doing this, like what groups are this strong, what connections are here, I feel like the culture would have to stand a lot taller, a lot stronger than it does, because it was created by us. The foundation is strong. I feel like it's not a strong foundation right now. So I'm not really sure where I guess they will go from here. Because I don't want to be one of those people that's like a part of the problem, you know, like, well, I'm not going to try because nobody else is trying. But it's also like, you can't be the only person. One man can change the world, but one man can't really do everything on their own. Like, so I think, you know, I speak out a lot about it. And people DM me whenever I say my stuff. Some people DM me and they agree 100%. And there's other people who I remember I've gotten into debates with people who have gone to Ohio State their whole 4 years, and they have had wonderful experiences. And I don't take that away from the Black people at the university. I'm sure that there are Black people who have had amazing experiences at Ohio State because they made it that way. Yeah. But you have to make it that way. Ohio State doesn't make it that way. It's not set up for you to have like great experience. Like, okay, if I go back to Clark, I know that we're going to have an org fair. I know that we're going to have a pageant. I know we're going to have student elections. We're going to have Miss Senior. We're going to have all these different things that are exciting and fun to our community that we like to be involved in, that we like to do, already set up for us. At Ohio State, it's more so, there's not a lot of that. So it's more like it needs to be created, and so people don't want to do the work to create those, what's the word, to create those, dang. Yeah, I don't know. Not precedents, but create those spaces, those, it's like a specific word and I'm so mad that it's not coming to me right now. But I feel like Black people don't want to create those, God damn it, it's fine. Whatever. It's fine.
Like what I was saying was like, they do live a completely different reality because she's one of those people that was like so woke and so this and that. But I never forget, like we were at a party. The party got shut down and all that stuff. My friend lost her phone. So we were looking for the phone and we ended up talking to the police. And she's starting to get bucked like with the police because he like, I don't care about your phone. Y'all need to leave or y'all gonna get arrested or something like that because you're on private property or whatever. And she like, you don't need to talk to us or like that. And we immediately like, you need to stop. Because regardless of what happens, you're not going to be the one that's in trouble. Yeah, like, you need to stop. Yeah. And then, like, we walked away. And she's like, I can't believe he did that. He's such a piece of shit. And I'm like, we're Black. You know? Like, we can't turn up like you did. Yeah, I was like, they do not care. Like, they didn't care about the phone. They don't care about what we're doing. You cannot talk to people like that because at the end of the day, we're the ones who are going to have to deal with the repercussions of that. So it was just realizing that people are completely in a different reality. And in addition to that, like when you're RA, you go through different trainings and stuff like that. And I remember the first time we had to do like a minority training, but it was kind of supposed to be like this deep conversation, but it was so surface. And like we had to take this quiz about like different biases and stuff like that, and you learn about different prejudices. And one person said something like, I had no idea that like you get persecuted or you get charged higher if you're holding marijuana than if you have any other thing because that's what minorities hold. Like I had no idea it was anything like that. And I'm just like, these are things that I knew growing up just because that's what we have like seen. Like so they're saying all like common knowledge. Yes, like, and what I didn't realize is that a lot of things that we have common knowledge about and that we're used to just because that's the life we grew up in, they don't know anything about that. Yeah. And when they find out about it, they're just so in shock and awe. Like, white people that grow up in the suburbs think that public school education is the same no matter where you are. They think it's the same quality no matter what because they like, public school is public school. But it's not like that. Like, funding is different. Teachers and even, like, the buildings themselves are completely different. So just, like, finding out that not only is it a different reality, but finding people that, how do I say it, not that they care, but like
they just have a better understanding. Yeah. It's difficult because and like this kind of goes into interracial dating, but that's a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
But it just goes into the idea of like, I don't, like you said, you turned up on a police officer, but if you really understood my condition, my circumstances, you would have been quiet.
Yes.
You wouldn't have had anything to say. And so it's like you said, it's just like they are so separate from our reality. Their reality is completely different than ours. And so it's like, you never know. It's difficult to create relationships with white people because if they never went through what you went through or never like known somebody that's gone through what you've gone through, they are completely like blind to the things that we experience. Like, and when you probably go back and explain to her like, you cannot turn up on a police officers, it's a confusion. It's like, why? What do you mean? Why can't I defend myself? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And it's like, it's not, yes, he was wrong, but do you want to live?
Yes, and
do you want to go home?
I was like, what did you expect to happen? Like, he's shutting down a party of people that aren't supposed to be here, and you're asking on the phone. You thought he was about to stop everything, look for his phone. She's like, well, I was like, do you think police officers like really care about us? Like, do you think that's what they do? And she said, well, I mean, police officers are supposed to be good people, and that's when I immediately said, first of all, you're not woke, so stop talking to me. Like, immediately, like anything that you're saying from here on, if you not realize the reality of how we are treated as a society, even though no, not all cops are bad. Like, it's not even like that, but because how some of them are and how we are treated as a society,
you have to realize that. You have to completely differently. And I think, you know, it just has to be that common understanding that we did not grow up the same.
Yeah.
Even if you grew up poor white trash, or even if you grew up like lower class or whatever, your lived experience is going to be different than mine, because even though we both are lower class, you're going to go out and we apply for the same job, you are going to have a better chance at getting it than I would. And that's just period. Like, that's just where we live. That's what it is. And so I think it's like, I'm not against having white friends.
Yeah. Same.
But I'm also not for having teaching moments over and over again. People, I'm not doing that with you. Like, and that's like, you know, and today with all this stuff going on, it's like I'm in a middle space where it's like I'm okay with educating people who want to learn and who like walk, you know, if we're talking and we're in that space. But if you're not actively doing the work on your own time at home, reading, looking up stuff, teaching yourself stuff, because there's so many books, there's so many things that you can read.
Even like you can watch a documentary.
You can watch a documentary and get all the information you need. If you're not actively doing the work on your own, I'm not doing the heavy work for you. I already did it. I'm doing it every day. So it's like I feel like it's not even that we don't want to be friends. It's more so like, and not even a can't. It's like, why?
It's tiring.
Why? If you're, because I feel like it's a lot, and it sucks. It does, but it's a lot more work being friends with somebody who's not the same race as you.
Yeah.
Because they don't get it.
They doesn't understand.
Yeah, they don't understand, and so for me, you know, I have one more semester at OSU, and I tell myself I'm actually, you know, going to put my best foot forward and really try to be involved, try to meet people, because I feel like I could have did better on my end. But I'm not, you know, expecting anything.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting, you know, to be accepted by whoever, or to be, you know, joining all these different groups and everything's great. Like, I don't see that happening. Not that I don't see it happening. I just am not pressed in a sense, because I feel like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. Like, you would like it to, but if it's not.
Yeah, but if it's not, it's not the end of the world. And I know one thing about me is I don't assimilate. Like, it's so, and this is the whole other thing. It's so crazy because when I was involved in meeting people, I always felt so like on the outside. Yeah. Because I went to a HBCU, because I had like these Black experiences, I'm not an assimilator. Like, that's not something that I choose to do. And I know a lot of Black people at OSU who don't. I know Black people who do. And I don't judge anybody for how they choose to navigate through these spaces, because at the end of the day, we're Black people. We all have to get it how we live. We got to figure out what works for us. And I don't judge nobody who does it, but that doesn't work for me. And I feel like, you know, when I was involved in different spaces, there was Black people turning their noses up at me, you know, looking at me funny because I wasn't choosing to fall in line. Yeah. And so it is a turnoff. It's like a push away, because I was looked at. I've never been looked at as the loud black girl ever until I got to OSU, and it cracks me up because if you know me, like I don't even be talking.
Yeah.
Like I really am very reserved. Like I'm open, like I'm social, but I'm very much when it comes to my opinions and like the things that I believe and all that stuff. I'm very like to myself, and I don't step up when stuff is going wrong or whatever because I don't like confrontation. I'm somebody who's very like just we'll see how it plays out. But when I was involved on campus and doing stuff, I was speaking out because I feel like I said, I've always been quiet. I never had a voice. I never was like somebody who was like I was never a spokesperson for anything. So I was, pushing myself to stand up for myself and be like, this is not right. And I got a lot of pushback. And I didn't even get accepted for the committee that I was on the next year. Because I feel like because I spoke out about what I had to say. Because there's, black people on campus who aren't used to other black people speaking up. And so when we do, it's like we don't want them in our org because they're too much. And it's like you really need people like that who are going to stand up for your committee, who are going to fight for you, who are going to actually make sure we're getting the resources that we need and not sit comfortably.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like the black organizations at OSU could have so much more, could do so much more. Ohio State has so much money, so many resources.
Yeah,
like
State has
alumni, the alumni is
Columbus
crazy.
Itself,
like there's so much that can be done that I feel like at this point it's just laziness. There's people are not actively doing the work. It's y'all just like, well, we got this org, but that's it. We ain't gonna do nothing. And it's not all of them. It's not all the orgs. It's not everybody. There are orgs that actively do work to make sure that they are providing quality events for black students. However, we could do better. And black people don't want to get called out. Like, we don't want to call each other out because we already got it bad enough. And it's like, you don't want when other black people publicly call out black people, we get shamed for speaking out. But that's the problem. We don't want to correct each other. We don't want to shift. We don't want to fix anything. And then you be mad if a white person said it. So we have to correct each other, and we have to be more open to constructive criticism and holding each other accountable, because I feel like it's ridiculous how black orgs are done at OSU. I feel like there's way too many resources for them to be like that. We should have been had a student center. Hell is way too small. Why are we not fighting for those things? Why are we not fighting for space, fighting for comfortability, fighting for people to want to come here? Ohio State literally, when I tell you they push diversity and inclusion so hard, you would think that the populations was mixed. When I tell you I don't even see black people when I walk on campus. Maybe once or twice, to and from.
That's crazy.
I don't even see them. So it's just like, I feel like because we're getting accepted into the university, that's enough. No, shake the room, shake the table. Ohio State has so much money. I feel like there's just so much more can be done. So that's just me though. Because I will look at it. I always say this: if an HBCU had the money and resources that Ohio State has, it'd be thriving. It'd be so many successful black people would come out of that school because they would utilize those resources. So it's just, I feel like we could do more. That's just how I feel about it. But yeah. And that's that.
Did you finish it?
Oh no.
I mean, you don't have to. But...
I got a little sip. It's finished. But do you have any advice, I guess, that you would give the young black students, the young black senior thinking about going to college, and they like, I want to go? Because we didn't even talk about we didn't even talk about PWIs versus HBCUs, but that's a
I mean, I don't really get the argument.
I don't either.
I feel like regardless if you're black and getting an education, that should be enough.
I agree. That's how I feel. I think I feel like the debate is divisive.
Yeah.
And it happens. It always happens randomly. It always sparks up, and I just feel like it's just to keep us separate.
I can see why some people at HBCUs are like, well, you're giving white men money and you're doing this XYZ. I couldn't even afford to pay a $90 application fee to an HBCU.
Right.
You know, and on top of that, a lot of HBCUs don't give scholarships like PWIs do just because they don't have the funding.
Right.
And then on top of that, it's not enough education about HBCUs and differences and the different ones across the nation. You hear about the same ones over and over again, and then you don't hear about programs. You just hear about the university.
Right.
So, like, I definitely think the argument is counterproductive because, like, if you get an education and you're black, you already
you're already winning.
Yeah.
I feel. So it was just, and I was one of the people who kind of like dipped and dabbed in the debate because I felt like, and I think when I was wanting to go to HBCUs, I was like, because one thing people say is like PWIs prepare you for the real world, and I don't agree with that because I don't agree with that statement because universities aren't real world. Like, they are real world, but you are still in a controlled environment. You are still like, it's not like the workforce. It's not the workspace.
Yeah.
I guess it's.
I think it's just like if you're culturally like used to being around all black people.
Yeah.
If you go into a workforce and it's white people, it's gonna be a shock.
It's gonna be a shock there versus a shock. Even a shock in college.
Yeah, but like trying to soften that by going to college around them first. Yeah.
But I heard somebody say to counter that HBCUs prepare you to be a black person in the real world, and I don't know. Like you said, I feel like I understand both sides, but I feel like the argument is counterproductive, as you said, because I feel like when we go to school and when we have higher education, we're winning.
Yeah.
My mom has a master's, wants to go get her PhD.
Yeah, same.
That's winning. It doesn't matter. Y'all sitting here debating back and forth when none of y'all have applied to a university to begin with.
Yeah.
I feel like the issue. It doesn't. I think it ultimately doesn't matter where you go because. Where you go, that's just your personal experience.
Right.
That's what you decided to do.
And some people, it doesn't, like, just because you go to PWI doesn't mean you're going to have a bad time or a good time. And I feel like same for HBCU. You might go to the school and you might not find your niche or whatever is there. Yeah.
All right. So it's just because you're around black people, it doesn't mean it's going to be the best experience in the world, because if you're not really because it's hard at HBCUs too. Like, if you're not a social person, if you're not somebody who really likes to be involved, it's hard to find your footing. It's hard because once you get there, you're in a lot of GEs. Like, you can meet people, but how I made friends was I was on the housing committee. Like, I was the secretary of our dorm, so I helped plan events with our brother dorm, and so that's how I met people at Morehouse. But then I was also on her campus, and like I was a photographer. I took pictures with her campus, so that's how I met other people. Like, I put myself out there, and that's how I made friends.
Yeah.
But if you weren't a social person, it is very difficult sometimes to find your. I mean, yes, there's a lot of spaces where you can. There's a lot of space opportunity to be social, but it's like if you're not a group person, like a collective person, you do struggle.
Yeah. And
I feel like it's not about it being a HBCU or PWI ultimately. Like you said, as long as you get the degree. Yeah. Because for real, when it's all said and done, it really doesn't matter where you went. Yeah. Because if you got a degree, you did it. Yeah. Because I think that's what we all realize too, that college is hard. It's hard as hell, no matter where you go. Yeah. And so, if you get your degree, and if you're doing it 4 years, oh, you really won. Like, you really definitely like are winning right now. Yeah. But to me, I don't even care. I want my kids to go wherever makes them happy. Yeah. Of course, I would love for them to go to a space where they feel comfortable. Yeah. I am leaning more so towards HBCUs, of course, just because I feel like if we pour more into HBCUs, then they will thrive. If we have the money and resources to pour into them, they'll do better. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not against them going to the PWI because I understand the world we live in. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, I have more resources at Ohio State than I had at Clark. And that's just what it is. Like, I definitely have more access, and I've met more people. I've done a lot more than at Ohio State than I feel like I would have done at OSU. I mean, at Clark. So, I think it depends on you. It depends on who you are as a person. Like, I think I would have thrived no matter where I was, you know, because I'm a student. I'm just always been really good at school. So no matter where I went, I would have thrived academically, and I've always been social. So, like, if I would have went to Ohio State from the beginning, I feel like I would have had a better experience than I have had. But, I mean, I don't think it really depends on PWI versus HBCU. Like, I think that again, that debate is just so... It's like tired. Like, why are we even arguing about what school you go to? Did you get in?
Right.
Did you go to school? Like, are you going?
Degree,
Are you getting the degree? Like, who cares where you went, ultimately? So, back to the other question. What advice do you have for little Black people that want to go to, that want to go to college, period, and want to go to a PWI?
I would say, one, don't single out PWI versus HBCU. You know, figure out the attributes and things that you want in your school. Look for the programs and the things that have the resources that you want. Look at academics because you're getting a degree and like accreditation and things like that. But also look at resources, look at clubs, look at housing because you don't want to live in housing that you don't like. Look at distance from home, look at tuition, scholarships, and things like that. Yeah, look at everything as a whole and use that to determine where you go to school. Like, don't put anything in like different boats. Everything has a factor, and then everything has a rank. Like, if academics is first, if socials and clubs is second, or if housing is second to you, like, figure out what matters the most to you and then determine it based on that. Yeah,
I feel that. I think I wish somebody would have gave me that advice, because even though, you know, I'm thankful I had both experiences. Like, I feel like that's a very special experience. I'm glad I had both, but I really wish that somebody was like, you know, don't decide based off of what's a HBCU, what's a PWI. Decide, like, what do you want? What do you really want? Because if I really sat down and thought, like, I want a smaller campus, I want to be and do this, I want to do this and this, I feel like I might not have ended up at Clark or OSU.
Yeah.
You know, like, I really could have, because there were schools that I got into that I was like, I'm not even considering, because, you know, Howard was my number one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got into every school except Howard.
Yeah.
And so it's like that kind of, when you separate it by HBCU and PWI, it kind of puts you in a, like, it's restricting in a sense, because you're like, well, I didn't get into all my HBCUs, now I have to go to PWI. Like, no, I didn't get into one school, so now I have to look at my other options. Like, and I think that's just a better way to look at it altogether.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think that's it, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Janelle, for being here with the Nasty Pat Ron.
It was great, though. You finished it.
It was all right. I feel it, y'all. We're going to have Janelle's socials down at the bottom, you know, in the description box if you want to follow her. We didn't get to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it on another episode for sure. Janelle is a YouTuber. She does a lot of, like, beauty, makeup, content. She's great, y'all. She's going to teach me how to get my life. And, you know, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah.